There are 4,218 PlayStation 2 games, and I've got to beat every single one of them. I've got to own the game because I'm playing on the original hardware, but at the end of each video, you have a chance to guess what the next game is going to be. Do you think I can do this before I die of old age? I hope so.
We're on to our next game, number 35, Timesplitters 2. An FPS that is very similar to GoldenEye and Perfect Dark in the way that the missions work and the gameplay. And it even comes in a nice package of 3 games, all on the PlayStation 2 and the GameCube. I played this game quite often when I was younger and I really enjoyed it, so I was so happy to play it again. So let's do this. Timesplitters 2 features many different game modes, but the one that we'll be working on most is the story mode, because that is where we'll see credits. The story is pretty simple. These creatures called Timesplitters have stolen time crystals and taken them to the space station, where they use them to go back in time and change various things because they want to. We are here to stop them by following them through time, taking back the time crystals, and righting what they've wronged. Each level is a different story contained within just that level that really has nothing to do with the overall story. I think it's supposed to be that we're fixing what they've messed up and then coming back with the time crystal. However, there's never really any indication that there's anything messed up. It's just kind of reliving the past, and then they're also there too. With the time crystal, it doesn't really seem like they're messing anything up. Like, these time excursions they're taking don't really change that much about the past or the future, especially since we're still here doing this, so I'm not really sure what it is that they're doing. Either way, we play as Sergeant Cortez, the guy who actually goes back into each of the time periods. Every time we go back into the time period, we inhabit the body of someone in that period who is actually important, allowing us to get to the time splitter and the time crystal. There are a total of 10 different levels, and our first level takes place in 1990 in Siberia. I'm playing the entirety of this game on easy, as I do with all games, but that actually does affect how the game works. See, as I said before, this game is very much like GoldenEye and Perfect Dark on the N64. Each difficulty actually adds more than just tougher enemies with more health and dealing more damage. They actually add extra objectives that you can complete in each level, so it is harder overall, which is really nice. So easy is a very short experience, but tight. Loading into Siberia, we get a cool cutscene with these 2 characters who are looking around in the dark, trying to figure out what the noise is that they heard. It happens to be zombies. We arrive in the level as this woman here, and we begin to search through the facility, completing objectives. As I said before, this is a first-person shooter with objectives in each of the levels, and we begin with a sniper rifle, and we start to learn the movement. It's pretty basic, feels just like an FPS would, no jump button, and no way to control your sensitivity for aiming, which is crap, but you can control most of the buttons that you use. In the options menu, you can see all of the main objectives and the secondary objectives. Obviously, the secondary ones don't actually have to be completed, but the main ones do, and the main ones increase depending on the difficulty. I proceed through the level just kind of looking for the objectives, no actual direction, other than just killing guys, walking around, getting used to the controls. I turn these valves to stop some steam from stopping me through going through a door, and well, this is a pretty obvious video game trope that's in tons of games. I end up finding some timed mines that I can use to throw at things to blow them up, like objectives. I then head down here, where there's a special burial site, which is one of our objectives, to find it. There's also a time crystal on the ground, some little time demons blocking it, and we have to destroy the biohazard site because it contains the time splitter itself. Obviously, we want to kill them because we don't want them to stick around. But once this happens, I realize I missed one of the objectives near the beginning of the level. I've got to destroy this dish on this building, and when I shoot at it with my gun, the bullets ricochet off and hit me, which is pretty cool. Apparently you can deactivate it a different way, but I decided to just blow the shit out of it.
It was true.
The last objective in every level is to get to the time portal to escape, and your mission is successful. The next level is in 1932 Chicago downtown, where you play a private eye trying to stop Big Tony's operations, which don't really have anything to do with anything, but apparently there's a time splitter and some time crystals, so let's go get them. We open to a monologue made by the character your character takes over in Chicago. He is upset about all the bad things happening everywhere because it's very cliche, let's just say that. We also get to see some of Big Tony's guys arguing with himself, trying to figure out if Big Tony's going to be upset with them, and yeah, he is.
I want him dead, you hear me? Dead!
I like how dramatic that was, but it's good.
We have a few interesting objectives here, and including a secondary objective, nothing too difficult. I proceed down the street where I shoot civilians because there's no penalty for doing so. Eventually I find a phone booth and I contact this guy named Marco, and we're supposed to escort him somewhere safe. As I'm walking down the road, a secondary objective appears out of nowhere. Apparently we're supposed to stop Tony's brother from escaping. I assume probably by shooting the car enough to blow it up, but I don't do it because I didn't really expect it, and it's not one of the main objectives, so he got away.
Oh.
I find Marco and start escorting him, except that he's really not interested in anything else except walking forward, while these guys from rooftops are trying to snipe him and around corners. Eventually he leads us here, we get the nightclub pass, and Marco vanishes into the back of the blackness.
And he just disappears into nothingness.
Once we get into the nightclub, we get not one, but two Tommy guns, which is super, super overpowered. For some reason, we get into the back of the nightclub after about a minute of walking through it, and we find Big Tony, kill him in an instant, and that's it. The time crystal is right where he's standing, the time portal opens up, we kill one time demon, and we're out free. I don't really know why this mission was so short, but it was still fun.
What?
Our next level takes place in 1895 in Notre Dame, in the Cathedral where Quasimodo, or at least everyone remembers him as the Hunchback, presides. And there's not a lot that is similar to what you would imagine like the Disney story. It's actually a little bit weird, and they actually have the dialogue voiced by the guy capturing these women, and I'm not really sure what he's doing with them. The game doesn't explicitly say. I assume that he's performing experiments on them, but it's just weird and doesn't really give me a good idea of what the fuck is going on. Plus, we turn into this jester woman who has a bit of her chest showing, and that's it. That's all we do. We go help Quasimodo. At first, I walk around killing zombies with a double-barreled shotgun and opening small gates to walk through. We're supposed to rescue these women who are chained up in the bottom of this cathedral by this guy, and it's really weird because of the way they're standing and what they're wearing. I'm really not sure why they're like this, and you just walk up, hit the button, and they walk away very oddly. It's disturbing. As I proceed forward, I find the time crystal on this altar, also a woman hanging from the ceiling, the last one I have to save, by a rope. And every time I shoot the rope, she falls and dies. So I have to figure out a different way to help her. After I make my way to the top, I find this rope to pull, and she's let down safely finally. In this surreal next scene, I help Quasimodo shoot zombies with a shotgun as he leaves with the maidens. Good on you, man. Before we can head to the roof to kill the last guy and exit the time portal, we have to fight a time demon that's enormous. I'm really not sure why he's so big or why he's here. This is the first time you see the health bar at the top right. It's hard to tell, but when you damage them, their health actually does go down. It's just this weird, slightly off color of what the color already is, so you can see it, but it's hard to tell, and I could never tell in-game. Once on the roof, we destroy this guy extremely quickly and head into the time portal. Mission successful. Our next level is Return to Planet X in the year 2280. We play as Hank Nova, trying to recover the UFO that we downed as we're flying around in our own ship. But not really exactly why, just very quickly into it. We downed a ship, you gotta go get it. We get this cool pistol called the Sci-Fi Pistol, literally the Sci-Fi Pistol. It shoots a burst shot, and it's probably the best pistol in the game. As we travel through killing aliens with our Sci-Fi Pistol, we eventually find a spot where there's a turret and a bunch of UFOs, because there's still UFOs in the year 2280. We shoot down a bunch of aliens and their ships, trying to just keep ourselves alive, until eventually we get to the crashed UFO. We have to stave off the aliens trying to get to the UFO before us, and eventually get on the UFO, where we break some glass, walk up and grab the time crystal, and then leave through the portal. On easy, this mission's very short. Our next mission takes place in 2019. Ooh, Neo Tokyo, so accurate. But anyway, we play a guy named Ghost, and he was framed for stealing something from the government, which we definitely didn't steal. But now he's got to clear his name, so we've got to stop these hackers by gaining evidence from the computers that they have in their base, and then get out of there. We open up with less story and more just cool action scene, which is fine because the animations in this game, if I haven't said it yet, are actually pretty nice. They do a great job, probably because there aren't very many times for them to be doing this stuff. Most of the mission takes place with the default animations, and then these opening parts are the only places we get to see these unique animations. So they did a great job, and these fight scenes are pretty cool. This mission begins with us tailing a hacker back to their base, which is how we steal the evidence that we need to clear our name. However, it is a little difficult. At first you think you can get kind of close, then I find out randomly that if you just walk into glass, it will break. So that means if you walk into any of these windows, it will just shatter. If you're a little too close and it shatters, it will alert her. I have to do this sequence a couple times because I do mess up, which, you know, it happens. It's a sneaking sequence where you're tailing someone. but eventually I get into their base. The mistake I make here, though, is I didn't understand how I was supposed to get the password. I thought I could just kill the people in the base and be fine, but apparently you were actually supposed to walk up to this camera, wait for her to go input the password, and watch her do it, which completes the objective. Once you get the password, you're just allowed to kill everyone in the base now with no penalty, so I grabbed this cool P90 from a locker, and I use it to destroy everyone in the base. And one of the other objectives is to actually stop this time splitter device, which is finally something that actually has the time splitter being in the story more than just him being there with the time crystal, which is pretty cool. Once that is over, we chase down the leader of this hacker group, and she keeps going invisible, which is kind of hard to see her, but if you're right behind her, you can just fire this P90 in her ass and she's dead.
Gotcha.
Grab the time crystal she drops and head through the time portal. Our next mission's in 1853, Wild West, Little Prospect. This guy named the Colonel has found something more valuable than gold, which is actually the time crystal. So he slandered the local law, Ramona Sosa's name, got her in jail, then he has unrestricted access to the mines where he can mine for as much as he wants, and everyone's scared of him because, you know, he's a shoot first, ask questions later Confederate. The opening cutscene has almost no dialogue and no story yet again, except for a wanted dead or alive poster. Just like the last one, this is much more about animation and just setting the scene than any story, since the briefing contained everything you need to know. But it does feel a little weird that they have nothing here for you, when the other ones, especially the first mission, that first mission had a great opening cutscene with characters who acted pretty well with cool animations, so I'm a little sad to see that this is very, very brief. I walk around this mostly deserted town until I finally find a wagon full of TNT. I decide to shoot it. It's actually one of the objectives to save the local law, Sosa. So that's cool.
Okay.
After this, guys actually come into the town and start doing things like setting things on fire. We have to put out the fire with these barrels full of water, which is cool. On easy, this mission is very short with very few objectives, so I walk around this mostly empty town until I finally find an area where the Colonel, the Time Portal, and the Time Crystal all reside in a very short sequence.
Oh, really?
Once I kill the Colonel and get the Time Crystal, we're through the Time Portal to the next mission. Our next mission takes place in 1972 at the Atom Smasher on Kalos Island, where it's really just like a James Bond / Austin Powers type story, and it's very cliche. It's the evil genius guy is trying to kill you with an elaborate plan that doesn't work because you get out of it. Then you've got to go around and you've got to do all these things to get out of his lair. I'm glad that they went back to a little story at the beginning. Yes, it's cliche, but it's also silly. We've almost got an Inspector Gadget, Dr. Claw situation where you don't get to see the guy's face. You are strapped to this machine and you're slowly picking away at the side, trying to stop it. Eventually, when the laser goes off, it is not able to get you because, well, you've secretly stopped it and it was going to hit you right in the nuts. So good job. At the top right of the screen, you see a detonation timer, and you have no weapons, so you know that you've got to move quickly. However, I didn't know exactly where to go, so eventually I just started running past everyone in the facility as they were shooting at me, trying to kill me, and I do finally find some remote mines under these stairs, which helps me get some guns, and I can finally begin the mission.
Okay.
The whole idea is to find these scientists cowering somewhere in the level and lead them to each of the bombs. Each time you bring them to one of the bombs, the detonation timer goes up so you can find the next scientist and the next bomb.
Oh.
To get past some of the doors, you need to find a fire extinguisher and put out all the fires for them to actually open. And the fire extinguisher is fine. It's really only used in this level for the fires, and it's just simple. Eventually, you get to this last room where you dual-wield AKs, you kill Kalos, a bunch of demons, activate the reactor, grab the crystal, and go through the time portal, all in this one room. Our next mission takes place in 1920 in the Aztec Ruins, where it's pretty much just Indiana Jones. There's really nothing else here. You do exactly what you'd imagine Indiana Jones to do, and the artifact you're going after is, the time crystal. The cutscene's okay, I guess. It's pretty much just you having already found the time crystal, but these special golems come and take it back from you, and you have to go through the level to just re-find it. It's a slightly mazy level, you're equipped with a crossbow, and you're being chased by these unkillable tree-like god creatures who can hit you, but you just can't kill them no matter how many times you hit it. The area is also being protected by this long-lost tribe of people, as well as monkeys that throw explosive watermelons at you.
Dude, I got a watermelon thrown at me.
This is one of the few times that I actually pull out this special device that shows you the map of the area because I kept getting lost since it's pretty mazy. Eventually, the crystal is seen on a pedestal that's dangled in front of you and then goes away because you have to go down further to actually find it. And to grab it, you actually have to trick these golems into walking over trapdoors that lead to just an inescapable area. Once they fall down there, they are gone. Sadly, this is it for easy. This mission is quick. You grab the time crystal, go through the time portal, and you're home free. We get a special cutscene after the Aztec mission because there's only 2 missions left, and I guess they wanted you to remember that you're also on the space station and there's this woman waiting for you. So you get this cool cutscene, and you get to go to the next mission. The year is 2315 in a robot factory. After the robot wars, there's one factory left running because the machine child decided he wants to get revenge. So he activates it to make another robot army, and, well, we gotta go neutralize it. If you couldn't guess, we'll be here fighting tons and tons of robots who teleport in on top of you. My first objective is to make this bridge extend across this gap so that we can gain entrance to the inner processing area. Here we can find this electro tool, which is used to overload these special nodes running the robot factory. There's a total of 4 of them, and we just have to make our way through the maze-like factory to finally find them, destroying tons of robots, turrets, and trying not to shoot ourselves with rockets. As we make our way through, we finally reach this robot boss, which is made by the machine child. It was really hard for me to tell that I was damaging it, again because of the enemy health bar at the top right looking weird, but I do eventually kill him by using every weapon in my arsenal to just blast him in the face, and then I leap through the time portal, and we're on to the last mission. We don't get a briefing for this one as it's taking place in the present 2401 right here in the station, where the Timesplitters actually finally break in and try and take the time crystals from us. However, we fight them off, take them ourselves, but our friend gets hurt, so we have to escape and set a self-destruct sequence so it destroys the whole space station. We start off by killing all of the Timesplitters and any of these weird alien bugs that are chasing us, until we finally have to activate these consoles for the self-destruct sequence. Next, we have to walk outside of the space station and use this Gatling turret to shoot down a bunch of ships that are trying to shoot us, even though we've set a self-destruct sequence and we can probably just leave. As I fight my way off the ship, I find this real sweet minigun that's very, very powerful, and I wish I was able to use more than just the last 2 minutes of this mission. This mission ends once we reach our ship and walk inside of it, and that's it. We beat the last mission. In the last cutscene, we see our character escaping the facility successfully, leading into the 3rd game, which obviously we'll be playing in the future. And this is the end of Timesplitters 2, game number 35 beaten. This end sequence we're going to keep playing out to see the credits, as well as I did play some of the challenges in the multiplayer area just for fun because the stream was almost over. I thought, let's just play for a little bit. So enjoy that as I speak about the last part of the video here. The game is fun. I think the difficulty options in this game are great because each difficulty adds more to the game than just enemy difficulty, which is so great. Perfect Dark and Goldeneye did this. It's such a good idea. I don't know why games don't do this more often. I know that it takes more work, but if you make the hardest difficulty and then just scale things back for the easier ones, that should be much easier, I think. I don't know. That's just such a good idea, and I love that they did this. And it adds so much more to the game because you can play it through on easy, and when you feel comfortable with it, play on the harder difficulties, and you can experience new stuff, which is so cool. The animations in the game are really nice. The facial animations, the characters, some of the little stories are really cool. I really enjoyed that. The shooting really isn't too bad. I do wish you could change the sensitivity because, honestly, that shit sucks when you can't change sensitivity. I mean, come on, guys. Let's add some options into these games. I do think that the story isn't the greatest. I mean, sure, it's cool that you're stopping these guys from going back in time to stop them messing up things, but in the end, it doesn't feel the greatest because it doesn't feel like a real well-put-together story. It's more just a bunch of little stories and fun things, which is fine, but I wish it was a little more. It's just kind of a random assortment of cool ideas they had. In the end, I definitely recommend this game, especially since it comes in a pack of 3. Play all 3 games. They're all really good. I think the 3rd one is the best, at least in my opinion. And when we get there, you'll see for yourself. But thank you very much for watching game number 35, whooped right in the nuts. On to the guessing
Yeah, this
game.
game was short. I mean, it's
Da
a
da
game,
da da
just,
da da da. All right, here is the image from Stable Diffusion. What do you think
new
the next
character.
game
Yay,
is?
new
This
character
one
for
might be a little
Molly.
difficult because I don't know how I'm gonna get it to show up. But you know what? Let's see if Stable Diffusion can figure out what game I'm playing. And can you figure out what game I'm playing? Please don't think this is a real MMO. Oh, is that too much of a hint? I'm gonna leave it. Feels good.
Time for me
I
to
like
bring
that.
up the Aztec
Anyway,
Ruins.
thank you so much for watching these videos, people. I really
I like the multiplayer
really
one. That
appreciate
was a
it.
fun one.
I
remember,
have been
I
enjoying
actually
this
remember
challenge
playing
so
Picture
much.
Perfect in one
I'm
night,
getting new equipment
but,
for the challenge. I'm getting
it
a
was- I went over to
RetroTink
Jeff's house and we
5X,
stayed
so
up
everything is
until,
going to
like,
look really nice
4 in the
in
morning
several
playing.
weeks here. I'm also getting a silver slim PS2, some more memory cards, and I'm also going to get some more expensive games that you don't see as many people playing or covering, which will be really nice. It'll add a lot of useful games to the first 100 games. Thank you all so much for watching. The last thing I want to do is thank the patrons who are subbing. We actually got to pick out of the 3 patrons, one person to choose a game to play that's coming up soon. That game will be announced when it comes out because I want to keep it a secret. I think it's going to be cool, but it's going to be a great game. Oh, I'm so excited for it. So everyone, have a good day, and I'll see you for the next video.
Saved your life.